What's up YouTube, it's your boy Nash here. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another episode. Sorry guys, got something caught in my throat. Anyway guys, welcome back to another episode of WWE's Biggest Issue. This week's episode is actually a very I guess you could say a controversial discussion, but it's a discussion on why I believe NXT should main event SummerSlam. When you look at SummerSlam, the pay-per-view known as SummerSlam, it debuted in WWE, excuse me, in the world of professional wrestling on August 29th, 1988. This was right around the time where Vince McMahon was trying to compete against Jim Crockett Promotions and also the National Wrestling Alliance, the NWA. No, do not get it twisted with the band NWA. No, do not get it twisted. But Jim Crockett Promotions was a family-owned business that was founded in Charlotte, North Carolina, founded in 1931. It was a part of the National Wrestling Alliance for so many years, and one of the last matches that they had, one of the last things that shows that they did was actually in 1988, right around the time that SummerSlam had just debuted. So because of that, Jim Crockett Promotions was on the verge of bankruptcy in '88, and in November, just a few months after SummerSlam debuted, Turner Broadcast the Turner Broadcasting System purchased a huge chunk of interest in Jim Crockett Promotions. For what I'm reading here, from what I'm reading here, was for about $9 million, and the Crockett family ended up retaining a minority interest, and thus Ted Turner turned Jim Crockett Promotions into what we now know as World Championship Wrestling, WCW. So because of this counter, if you will, SummerSlam became a huge hit with Ted Turner having renamed it into WCW. WWE ended up continued to replace its closed circuit programming, where back in those days, back in the 80s, there was no such thing as a pay-per-view. There was only closed circuit television, where you could actually watch WrestleMania for practically nothing, for free, basically for free, from what my family has told me, of course. But not only that, but WWE had kept adding more pay-per-views to the lineup of success of the last events, including WrestleMania, Survivor Series, and also SummerSlam, because we know WrestleMania airs, comes up in like mid March to like early April. SummerSlam comes around in like, I would estimate, yeah, so like right about like somewhere between the beginning of August to the end of August, and then Survivor Series part of Thanksgiving weekend. And then now we have also the Royal Rumble, which comes around right around the end of January. Thus, they named those pay-per-views the Big Four. You have the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series. The Big Four. So when you look at the main event for SummerSlam, you think about, some of the biggest names that main evented SummerSlam. You think of Hulk Hogan. You think of Randy Savage, the Ultimate Warrior, Rick Rude, Sergeant Slaughter, just to name a few. And now, the main events for SummerSlam now in the last I would say the last 3 years. I would say the last 3 years have been pretty trash in my honest opinion. But I'm gonna go through the lineup of the main events from each SummerSlam, which obviously started in 1988. Again, right around the time that Jim Crockett Promotions was bought by Ted Turner, and thus WCW was born. Again, you guys know how this works. Don't want to get copyrighted. Big shout outs. Obviously, big shout outs to WCW. Don't want to get copyrighted. You guys know how this works. But again, big shout out. And of course, so SummerSlam 88, August 29th, 1988, Madison Square Garden, New York City. The main event for that was the mega. Damn my chair. Damn my fucking chair. Was the Mega Powers, Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage against the Mega Bucks, which were Andre the Giant and the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, with Jesse the Body Ventura as the special guest referee. That was a pretty insane matchup. I had seen clips of it on YouTube, of course. Mega Powers ended up picking up that victory. Crazy matchup. Next up, we had SummerSlam 89, August 28th, in East Rutherford, New Jersey, at the Brendan Byrne Arena, which was a tag team match between Brutus the Barber Beefcake and Hulk Hogan, two Hall of Famers, against the Macho Man Randy Savage and Zeus. Yes, if you guys do not know who Zeus was, basically he was known as he's basically Tiny Lister, Tommy Tiny Lister. He went by so many names, so many different character names in multiple films. Like Debo. Obviously, the most obvious was Debo from the Friday movies. He also had played the role of President Lindbergh in The Fifth Element, I believe it's called. Yeah, I believe The Fifth Element. I never saw that movie, but I heard it was actually really good. So Zeus, and this was this matchup tied into the fact that WWE had released their very first ever WWE Films movie, which was called No Holds Barred, which featured Hogan and Debo. 1990 was a very interesting year for WWE. This was actually the first time. This was actually the first time that the WWE Championship was defended in the main event of SummerSlam. So August 27th, 1990, in Philly at the Spectrum, which is the Wachovia Spectrum. The main event was the Ultimate Warrior versus Rick Rude in a steel cage match for the WWE Championship. I believe, given the fact that Rick Rude never won the WWE Championship, I would assume that the Ultimate Warrior ended up winning. Let me take a look, because I still have the program from, because I think that was the case. 1990? I actually still have the program from 2009, so I'm actually going to go back onto it. Yes, actually, yes. Truth be told, yes. Yes, Ultimate Warrior did defeat Rick Rude. 1991, New York City, August 26th, Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior versus Sergeant Slaughter, General Adnan, and Colonel Mustafa in a handicap elimination match with Sid Justice, Psycho Sid, as the special guest referee. Crazy enough, this was going right around the time that Sid Justice was starting to get into sort of a rival, kind of like a, I wouldn't say a friendly rivalry, but I would say a respectful rivalry with Hulk Hogan, and I know, and the reason why that both Warrior and Hogan teamed up, it wasn't based on friendship, it was based on respect from their match at WrestleMania 6 in Toronto. 1992, Wembley Stadium in London, England. This was actually the first time that SummerSlam was taped, because it had took place in the UK. Because it had took place in the UK, they had to tape it, and then they aired it just 2 days later. So the taping was on August 29th, and they aired it on pay-per-view August 31st at the end of August, Wembley Stadium in London. The main event was Bret Hart versus the Ultimate Warrior for the Intercontinental Championship. Bulldog ended up defeating Bret Hart with a roll-up victory from out of nowhere, and I know that because, well, I've actually seen the match on YouTube, and it was a hell of a matchup. Now going into 1993, Auburn Hills, Michigan, at the Palace of Auburn Hills, which the main event, August 30th, 1990, Yokozuna versus Lex Luger for the WWE Championship. Here's the thing, though. This match ended in a DQ because Lex Luger never won. From what I remember, Lex Luger had never won the WWE Championship, if I remember correctly. Nope. Yeah, I was right. He had never won the WWE Championship. The only accolades he had ever won from his time in WWE, he had won the 1994 Royal Rumble alongside Bret Hart, becoming the first two men to win the Royal Rumble match. Crazy enough. Slammy Award for most patriotic. Excuse me, because he was actually a pretty patriotic superstar. But yeah, actually, I believe that match ended in a DQ. 1994, August 29th, Chicago, Illinois, the United Center, which I believe they changed it, if I remember right. I don't remember. Undertaker versus Undertaker. This was actually this was the time when the Undertaker was out with an injury, and the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase created another version of him, but he actually wore the black and gray gear, whereas the real Undertaker, when he returned at SummerSlam, he came back. He came back wearing the black and purple, signifying not just the face turn, but also the fact that he truly became one with the fans. August 27th, 1995, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, at the Civic Arena. Diesel versus King Mabel for the WWE Championship. This was an interesting one because I believe, Diesel ended up defeating Mabel that night. August 18th, 1996, Cleveland, Ohio, at the Gund Arena, which is now known as the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. Shawn Michaels versus Vader for the WWE Championship. Shawn Michaels picked up that victory. SummerSlam 97, East Rutherford, New Jersey, at the Continental Airlines Arena, which they changed it from that to the Izod Center, and they changed it from the Izod Center to now the Meadowlands Arena. Undertaker versus Bret Hart for the WWE title. Michaels with HBK as the guest referee. This was right around the time where Shawn Michaels started to become a heel, turned, and he hit the Undertaker with a steel chair, and thus Bret Hart became WWE champion once again, and then went on to Survivor Series that same year, and we all know what happened there. We all know what happened there. We all know. Madison Square Garden, New York City, August 30th, 1998. Stone Cold versus The Undertaker for the WWE Championship. Stone Cold defeated the Undertaker in a very crazy matchup. The Target Center in Minneapolis, August 22nd, 1999. Stone Cold, Mankind, and Triple H triple threat for the WWE title with Jesse Ventura as the guest referee. I believe Mick Foley, Mankind actually won that one. August 27th, 2000. Raleigh, North Carolina, the Raleigh Entertainment and Sports Arena, which they now changed it to the PNC Arena. The Rock, Kurt Angle, and Triple H in a triple threat match for the WWE Championship. The Rock actually defeated both men, crazy enough. And it's interesting because The Rock and Triple H were engaged in a very bitter rivalry in the months leading up to SummerSlam. Additionally, Kurt Angle had taken a liking to Triple H's wife Stephanie at that time, and so the game and Kurt Angle were also at odds against each other. Put all three together, and you have a very chaotic main event, of course. August 19, 2001, San Jose, California, the Compaq Center, which they now now turned it into the SAP Center. Booker T, The Rock, for the WCW title, I believe. I believe 3 WCW titles were defended on this night. The WCW Cruiserweight Championship, the WCW Tag Team titles, and then the WCW title were defended. The Rock defeated had defeated Booker T. This was actually the one and only time where WCW was a part of WWE. The Nassau Coliseum, Uniondale, New York, August 25th, 2002. The Rock, Brock Lesnar for the WWE Undisputed title. Brock Lesnar defeated The Rock in dominating fashion, of course. Dominating fashion. August 24th, 2003, Phoenix, Arizona, the American West Arena, which they now have called it the Phoenix Suns Arena. Triple H, Chris Jericho, Goldberg, Kevin Nash, Shawn Michaels, Randy Orton in an Elimination Chamber match for the World Championship. Triple H actually defeated all 5 of those men with the help of Batista and Ric Flair. This one, August 15, 2004, Toronto, Canada, the Air Canada Centre, which I believe they kept it there. Oh, they turned it into the Scotiabank Arena, that's right. Chris Benoit, this was years before he passed. Randy Orton for the World Heavyweight Championship. Randy Orton defeated Benoit, and that made this is what made Randy Orton the youngest world champion in history. August 21st, 2005, Washington, D.C., the MCI Center, which is now the Capital One Arena. Hulk Hogan, Shawn Michaels. I don't have to say anything more about that. Don't have to say anything more about that. August 20th, 2006, Boston, Massachusetts, the TD Garden. Edge versus John Cena for the WWE title. Right around the time where ECW came into the fold. Crazy show. Crazy show. Edge defeated Cena with via a DQ. August 26, 2007, East Rutherford, New Jersey, at the Continental Airlines Arena. John Cena and Randy Orton for the WWE title. I believe Cena won that one. 2008, Indianapolis, Indiana. August 17th, 2008, the Canoga Fieldhouse, which they turned it into the Baker's Life Fieldhouse. Edge versus The Undertaker. Hell in a Cell. Undertaker. If you guys remember WWE from 2008, you will know that Edge banned The Undertaker from WWE. Edge cheated on Vicky Guerrero. Vicky Guerrero reinstated The Undertaker. SummerSlam, it became Hell in a Cell. And then from 2009 to 2014, all those shows were inside the Staples Center in LA. SummerSlam, August 23rd, 2009. I was actually there as a bit of an Easter egg for you guys. CM Punk had defeated Jeff Hardy in a TLC match for the world title. Undertaker had came back that night after he had, literally just a few months after he had went through a hellacious battle with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania. Team WWE, August 15, 2010, Team WWE, John Cena, Bret Hart, Chris Jericho, Daniel Bryan, Edge, John Morrison, and R-Truth versus The Nexus. Wade Barrett, Darren Young, Heath Slater, David Otunga, Justin Gabriel, Michael Tarver, and Skip Sheffield, or I guess now Ryback to be more accurate. Crazy match. Nexus Invasion. August 14th, 2011, CM Punk, Alberto Del Rio for the WWE title. This was right around the time. This takes place just moments after CM Punk beat John Cena to become the undisputed WWE champion. Del Rio cashes in Money in the Bank. He's now champion. August 19th, 2012, Brock Lesnar, Triple H, no DQ. Brock Lesnar wins, breaking Triple H's arm. August 18th, 2013, Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton for the WWE title with Triple H as the guest referee via Randy Orton's Money in the Bank cash-in after Daniel Bryan beat John Cena. Well, speaking of John Cena, August 17th, 2014, John Cena, Brock Lesnar for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at that time. Dominating fashion, Brock Lesnar beats Cena, 16 German suplexes, GG no re. From 2015 to 2018, Barclays Center in Brooklyn, August 23rd, 2015, Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker. August 21st, 2016, Brock Lesnar versus Randy Orton. August 20th, 2017, Brock Lesnar, Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns, Samoa Joe for the Universal title. 2018, August 19th, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns for the Universal title. August 11th, 2019. This was actually the day of my birthday, mind you. Toronto, Canada, the Scotiabank Arena, Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship. Last year, the Amway Center in Orlando, Braun Strowman, The Fiend, versus The Fiend. Falls count anywhere for the Universal title. Roman Reigns returns. Payback comes in. He's now champion. This year's SummerSlam will take place at the Allegiant Stadium in Vegas. And the reason why I feel like NXT should take place should main event SummerSlam is because over the last 5 years, the last 6 years, the main events for SummerSlam, they've been pretty good. They've been pretty good at in my opinion. Obviously, Brock Lesnar versus the Undertaker. It was a pretty good show. That match was pretty good. But the way that match ended, it got the fans thinking, why make it like that? Because Undertaker had low blowed Brock Lesnar, put him in Hell's Gate. Brock Lesnar taps out. Brock Lesnar versus Randy Orton ended in a no contest, or rather, ended via a referee stoppage after Lesnar hit Randy Orton on the head, forcing him to bleed out. The Fatal 4-Way for the Universal Championship, that was a crazy matchup, but Brock Lesnar winning, you can't. I don't even have to say anything. Lesnar versus Reigns. I don't even have to say anything about these matches. But last year's match was kind of a letdown because we were hoping because the fans were hoping to see Braun Strowman retain his title, even though he had shaved his head and got himself a new look and everything. We were all hoping for Braun Strowman to defeat The Fiend, but that did not come to pass. So if NXT were to main event SummerSlam this year, I feel like it would give not only would it give SummerSlam a bit of a different feel to the show. It would also put NXT even more on the map than they are now, because when NXT started as a reality show back in 2010, the show was just trash. It was absolute trash because of the fact that Wade Barrett, Darren Young, David Otunga, Heath Slater, Justin Gabriel, Michael Tarver, and Skip Sheffield and Daniel Bryan were the contestants of a they were a part of the first season. And then after that, after a few years, after maybe a year or two after that, NXT became NXT Redemption, which would air only on WWE.com. Now it's become one of the hottest brands going because of how much talent is there. Not only in the men's division, but the men's tag team division, the women's tag team division, the women's single division, and even the cruiserweight division as well. There's so much talent on NXT that any two guys could be in the main event. Could be in the main event at this year's SummerSlam and challenge for the NXT Championship. I feel like NXT should main event SummerSlam because of that, because of how successful they have been since 2012. And if they main event NXT, if a championship from NXT main events SummerSlam, I feel like that the ratings and the views could very may well go up compared to what it was last year, because last year's ratings were just absolutely trash. They were like, it was just trash, absolute trash. The ratings, the views, as far as the views go, it was just not there. It was as if the it was as if we never got to see SummerSlam at all. So again, I feel like with this year's SummerSlam being the first SummerSlam in 2 years that we're getting fans at a good capacity, NXT main eventing SummerSlam could be something that SummerSlam needs. But as far as what championship though, definitely the NXT championship because when you look at WrestleMania last year in 2020, the NXT women's title headlined WrestleMania. We've seen NXT superstars over the last 9 years take part in Royal Rumble matches, compete on Raw, on SmackDown, compete in other pay-per-views, like WrestleMania, like SummerSlam, like Survivor Series. Think back to 2019's Survivor Series where it was Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT. So why can't SummerSlam feature NXT? It's just that simple. But I know that it's probably not going to happen because there'll probably be a NXT takeover during this time during SummerSlam weekend. But guys, those are just my thoughts. Let me know in the comments below and answer this question: should NXT main event SummerSlam? I want your guys' opinion on this and why. If not, why? If yes, why? Let me know in the comments below. And that is going to do it for this episode of WWE's Biggest Issue. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel, you guys want more episodes of WWE's Biggest Issue, which gets posted every Monday, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you guys do not miss out on any new content that comes your way. And be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. All the links will be down in the description. And if you guys have any fan mail that you want to send me and want me to open up on the channel, my address will also be in the description. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.